I'm John Beasley. I'm a crop consultant from Southeast Georgia. A little town in Scriven, or named Scriven, near Savannah, I guess would be the closest big town. My company is South Georgia Crop Services, and I also have interest in Southeastern Ag Lab, so it benefits me full of a lot of soil samples. I'm an Auburn graduate, so all my Georgia friends ask me who I pulled for Monday, and I would tell them, well, you can't, you got to pull in the conference. So I found this slide, and it kind of wrapped up how I felt about it.
Yes, sir.
It's hard to pull for the devil, but anyway. I'll just I'm gonna give a history of kind of where we were at when we started and where we're at now. Limits and benefits and what we run into with grid sampling, modifications we made, and other applications that the growers in the areas are using, and how I feel peanuts have driven the precision ag industry in our area, and kind of what I feel like is ahead. My company, we do about 50,000 acres of soil sampling a year, and probably average on a 15-acre grid. So I'm in a 5-acre grid. I'm sorry. But we go anywhere from 1 acre on blueberries up to 15-acre on regular small size grids. Started in the 90s. It's really time consuming, really expensive. GPS receivers were $4,000. You had to use a laptop that was $2,000. And all that cost was passed on to the grower. There wasn't a whole lot that went on. Not to mention the software that we used was very cumbersome. In the last 5 years in our area, I'll use our little group for example. There's 5 of us in our lab. When we started the lab, I was the only one pulling grid samples. And then in the last 5 years, and that was 10 years ago, the last 5 years, everybody is pulling grid samples. And the number one reason is the software. It's so much easier. We use AgFleet. I know there's other programs out there, but they're so much easier to automatically, when a sample is pulled, it's automatically from the lab goes uploaded. So. And then an increase in grower owned applicators is kind of cut the cost down of application for our growers. Our benefits is naturally minimizing variation in our soils. We have, we're always jealous of the deaths in the Mid-South, but we have terribly variable soils. We have beach sand on one side and clay on the other, and everything in between. And that can be in a 20-acre field. I think it helps to level out our phosphorus levels. We've had a lot of land cleaned up in the last 5 years, 10 years, the new ground. Fields have expanded, so you have 10, 15 pound phosphorus levels in those areas versus your 90 pound levels. And then we went old tobacco growing area. So, tobacco growers in the past have put out a ton of homogenized fertilizer, and then 2,000 pounds of 6618. So your phosphorus levels on that section of the field is high. We never plant a whole field in tobacco. It's 20 acres or 50-acre field. That's a good representation. The rest of the field wasn't tobacco land. And when we do that, we're able to reduce our phosphorus runoff. I always tell them when they ask me how much money am I going to save by grid sampling, is I'm not going to, you don't go at it as you're going to save any money, but I'm going to try to maximize your inputs. The money that you spend, the dollars per acre that you spend, is going to where it needs to be in that field. And some of the limits that we're running into, the expense of sampling. When we started, they could get everything done by a dealer for free or less than $1. And now, 2.5 acre grid, you might have over $3 just in the sample, not pulling. And the number of trips per application. This one always shocks me. They're concerned about making the number of trips. We don't spread every acre. You have a trip for lime, phosphorus, and then potash, but you're not spreading every acre with phosphorus, not every acre with lime. And then the resistance from dealers. I don't know if that's just in my area or if that's kind of everywhere. They,
Really? I got you.
and it's changing, you know. Last year, all of my dealers finally had could spread variable rate, had rate controllers.
They don't know split beds?
No split beds. And that's another issue. And then, one thing we're seeing, and any input, any questions, I'd like to know it. Our minor elements, to me, are not an issue. We can do that in furrow at plant, and then every year, we do a lot of foliar with liquids.
Are you doing variable rate on any of your?
No. And all we do on our variable rate is lime, MAP, adapters, phosphorus, and potash.
Are y'all doing very much, y'all don't farm very much outside of the pivot though, do you?
A lot. I
You
probably
do?
only 30% irrigating.
Okay. Are y'all doing much as far as varying, when you set top dress, side dress nitrogen in and out of the pivot, very
No.
rates?
I hope it's coming.
We're doing a fair
I
amount
hope
of
it's
that.
coming, but.
It's fairly simple to do, it's not,
Oh, yes, but you know, the applicator's part is the area.
well,
It's like-
that's sad.
But I mean, we're slow to adapt. We're gonna make sure everybody else tries it before we jump on it. And I'm not talking about grower, I'm talking about the whole area, you know. But we're getting there. You know, I was telling Wes on the way up here, I've got 22 cotton pickers in my group, and 4 of them had yield monitors. I have.
What do you do with growers that got yield monitor capability but aren't willing to take a little bit of time that it takes? Not to calibrate, because we can do post-harvest calibration, no problem, but just to get them to take 5 minutes, 15, to show them, to get them to understand the value that they can get out of that we can help them with.
We're working on it.
Yeah, working on it. They like a map.
Well, the iron folks are no help in our area. They are zero help.
No, it's a little bit sad in our area that, you know, they put out this technology, but nobody can support it.
That's right.
But go back on the biggest thing, and I'll talk about later on our nutrients, is our magnesium. That's the problem we're running into. And this is an issue that, you know, I try to use this to emphasize we need to go to smaller grids. This is a peanut field. I know y'all can't see the numbers, but peanuts are extremely sensitive to zinc. The numbers here are 14 to 19. That's not a problem if you have a 6.5 or better pH. This guy said just pull them 15 to 20 acres. It's a 55 acre field. Last year it was for 14 it was corn, and then we pulled it. So we use this corn. We pulled it after the corn, and you know we had a 6.3 here, but we got into this 6.4 part. This was this year's sample. We put 4 points in it. We still want to do the same thing. Basically, I feel like this section right here and a little bit of this raises pH on this sample to the point it didn't call for lime. We had about 5 acres here on it's not, oh, I got a zinc toxicity, my peanuts are a little yellow, my peanuts are dead, you know, what's going on. So I would say 3 acres in this section. This was 5,500 pound peanuts, 3 acres did 0. So,
What causes zinc toxicity? I mean, did he cause it by using litter or something like
usually,
that?
usually what happens is old chicken house sites or a metal building
Oh,
was
yeah,
there.
I've seen those.
Mm-hmm. And the zinc level's real high from that.
Oh, yeah.
And just some of the things we've done to modify the magnesium I was talking about. Where we have high pHs. You know, we got really coarse fields, but it takes a long time. If we get to pH 2.7, it takes it a long time for it to come down. And some folks have spread, one particular grower spread a bunch of eggshells over his field, so his calcium was high, and that carbonate was slowly breaking down, keeping the pH high. So he hadn't spread lime in years. We run just a murate instead of blended fertilizer with a little bit of K-magnesium. We just run a murate variable rate, and we have magnesium issues show up in those spots on cotton.
Low mag.
Yeah.
Okay. So you don't deal with high mag.
No,
You do a low.
we ran out, and this is the first time. Well, you know, what I've done in the past to fight that is I'll just make like a 2-to-1 ratio with murate and K-Mag, a blend. The problem is when I go higher the potash is in the soil, the less magnesium it's going to get because you're basing off of your potash prescription. You know, I've had one grower in particular combining this N and K on the back. I would be hesitant to do that. I was hesitant to do that. That's a, you know, $1,000 return crop, high input. I don't like to mess with a man's fertility on, you know, when he's the mindset is they don't mess with that. So anyway, he wanted to try it. And so what I did is printed off the potash. This is potash levels in the soil. So here the red is higher. This section of here is real high. This is a soil map of that same field. And you know, this area, the yellow and the tan is the clay dirt. And then over here's the low potash levels, and then that matches with the sand. I was pretty happy how it overlaid. He was confident enough to go ahead and make like a 909, 12012, spread it twice, evaporate on his tobacco. And if you're not familiar with tobacco, you get too much nitrogen, you can't cook it out, and you don't sell it.
Do y'all ever sample based on soil type, zone sample instead of grids? Everybody, are you 100% grids?
I'm 100% grid, man.
See, we're 100% zone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's, we've had guys go to grid, and it was more economical for them to do it zone, but I was just curious as to, you know, we're in Tennessee, Northwest Tennessee.
What are you using to establish your soil type?
It could be either elevation or a soil type map, and I know
You're not using Veris or anything?
we do various on a lot of the flatter ground out towards the Mississippi River, where you can't really establish a consistent soil type for a field. You may have 15 soil types, you know, and they'll change 3 to 5 feet. I mean, you can take a step from one and do another.
Yeah.
It's very helpful there.
And that's what, you know, one thing I struggle with zones, it's just like that peanut example. If I would have used, and not soil information, but if I'd have used the yield monitor from corn, I had the yield data, had the map, if I'd have used it, that section that I had 0 peanuts in was 215 bushel corn. So the complexity of the crops, we're growing so many different crops. But that's.
I was just curious to know.
Yeah. But no, that's one of the things that, you know, I think that's what we want to use to move forward. You know, we're using variable rate planters. You know, you mentioned earlier. It blows my mind. The biggest corn grower I got does not have one. He could pay for it just by changing his seed rate on his pivots. Swath control on the sprayer in the plant. They really adopted this quick. I would say every grower I have that has a big sprayer runs swath on it. Multiple product applicators, none. That's something I wish we had.
There are none over there, really?
Not in my area. I don't know, Wesley, you know, I know 1 or 2 in the state.
I don't know, really, yeah, like I said, there's very few.
That was part of the reason that led us into it, was the capability of being able to do that. You know, because, I mean, it just, you know, there's only X number of hours that we have in order to be able to make across a piece of ground in the first place. And why muddle it up trying to make 3 trips when you can do it 2, 1 for lime, 1 for P and K?
Yeah, I agree. Now, we do our lime and P early. Our K has to be done.
Yeah, well, I understand that.
And then UAV imagery and soil data. Dwayne, I think you probably help us on that UAV. I got one, and you know, I've played with it a little bit. I haven't taken any MDVI imagery or anything, but I'm optimistic about having to be able to turn that around so quick.
We did some Monday.
Did you?
On some cover crop.
NDVI.
Yeah, what theory? Okay, it's going corn, and it's some heavier soil that we've got. The ground's bedded up, and got the cover crop on it, and they're going to plant corn up under the pivot. And the theory that I have is I'm going to take an NDVI imagery, and then we're going to go out and I'm going to pull some tissue samples on that cover. And we're not going to do the whole field, because once again, it's a theory. But we're gonna do some strips of variable rate in based upon what we're predicting that we're gonna have available from that. And I'm looking for any input that anybody's got, you know, along those lines, but it's got a 5-way mixed cover crop, tillage radish, got some winter peas, black oats, and triticale.
Well, see, that's a good start, right? So you're going out identifying, if you got better MDBI numbers, you should have higher tissue numbers when you sample them. So then if you're going to do a variable rate in, you should be able to probably back off your in those levels on your corn. So that's
kind
what
of
my
what
thought
the theory
process.
plan is, but I'm just.
Strip trial is a good way to start looking at that, right? You know.
Well, just in seeing so much variability in the cover is kind of what made the light bulb go off and on. If there's ever a place, you know, to do this, we've got the wonderful opportunity to be able to do it, you know, on a small scale and have some information here that would be, you know, part of the problem we have in the southeast or in our area, I'm going to speak to anybody else's, is you can take a soil nitrate nitrogen test, but it's kind of worthless.
Yeah.
And anyway, just trying to learn.
Yeah,
Where
and
you
I
at?
I'm South Alabama, west of Montgomery.
I'm eager to see. I bought one too. I hope we'll be able to use them.
I don't have one to do NDVI. I actually have got a guy that is in Tuscaloosa that he's actually in the business of doing different UAV work. They've got a thermal that they do some work on some rooftops and all for management companies on. And his father happens to farm down in Jay, Florida, so he's got the ag interest part of it. And we actually, when he came out there, he brought one to do some topo with. And we've actually done some topo with the Trimble on that same field. And we're going to do some comparative analysis between the two to see how close it is and
Don't
if
hold
it's
your
useful.
breath.
Sir?
Don't hold your breath.
I'm not.
We did some of that, and the company claimed it was really good and really
Yeah.
close.
Yeah.
And I guess we couldn't get it where we thought we wanted. We were the same
You
way.
got to have a bench.
We had, I don't know if they did. They claimed they had, but I don't know. We took our topo with RTK level. We were taking Varus data,
Okay.
so it was RTK level
That's right.
elevation, you know, on that. So
as I mentioned earlier, peanuts kind of saved the day, I think, in our area today. In 04, and I may have my year wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was
Pretty
04.
close.
It was terribly expensive. 03 was the first year without peanut quota in our area. 04 was the first year we grew a lot of peanuts. We had a really good crop in 04. We also had a hurricane come through late. You couldn't see, it was like looking at this carpet trying to find a road. So at the end of that year, we realized it probably wasn't that expensive. You can go 100 yards and then dig peanuts out of the bird. And I think that opened our eyes to precision ag. You know, they spent a lot of money, but they saw the benefits quick, and they were so suspect. And you know, still with digging, we have guys that plant 24 rows around the end. And we have that kind of angle with that many rows, we have a lot of overlap.
Yes, sir.
And they know the savings, they're seeing the savings with digging and with take fees on cotton. I think it's going to take tech savvy growers. You know, I use my age kind of as anything younger than me, they're real eager to try it. Anybody older than me, they're a little hesitant. And I have a couple of growers that are eager, but it's slim. I put qualified labor force, which that's always the case, but it's not going to be your best tractor driver. It's going to be somebody that can operate the technology. And then able to manage and storage the data. Well, I flew across took my video, flew across the field. It was a short video, it was like a minute and a half, but it was 700 megabytes. I put it in my computer. Of course, Apple wants to synchronize everything to the cloud. Well, they shut my internet down for that afternoon. So I don't know how we're going to handle that data. Not in my part of the world. We just don't have the speed. And then able to transfer our data from the field, I think that'll help tremendously. I know some of y'all are probably doing it already. When I can get access to these J.D. Link pull it straight off, make a prescription, send it back, or the grower just has to go to work. And then that, quick turnaround of the aerial imagery. And using our yield data. But that's all I got. If there's any questions, comments, I'll let Wes handle it from here.
Y'all don't